Hi, Lotus Juice.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time
My
to
pleasure.
talk with us.
Mhm.
We're at Bijutsu Convention in Ratingen right now, outside of Düsseldorf, where you'll be performing this weekend. How are you feeling, and how was your time in Germany so far?
I'm feeling great. It's a blessing to be here. First time in Germany, so I wasn't really expecting anything. But people has been great. The food has been great. I had the bagel. I keep forgetting how bad the bagels is in Japan, because bagel is so much better in Europe. But I didn't really get to hang out that much because I had to work. But yeah, it's been nice so far. Yeah.
You grew up spending time in both Japan and the US.
Yeah.
How do you feel like this life shaped your unique style and approach to rap?
Oh yeah, I mean everything. Like I went to the States with my family when I was 8, and I was like, "What is after ABC?" You know, I had no idea, and it was difficult to study another language because I was a stupid kid. But people are cool in my elementary school, but middle school, going through the teenage year, adolescence, people change, and uh, there are racism. We were, Asians are a privileged minority in the States, but I felt home in New Jersey with my friends, but when I go to the city, like New York City, people treat me different. Or other towns, they look at me. I was a basketball player, so I would go to a court and there would be guys coming up to me. It's like, "You're Asian, you can't play basketball." I would crush them though, I was a decent player. But all these things like kind of shaped me who I am, and it was something that I could relate to in terms of hip hop, because hip hop it was about struggle, and my family wasn't poor, so we're not in the ghetto or anything, but those lyrics I could relate to, so that's why I really got into hip hop. And when I graduated high school, I went back to Japan. I was gone for 10 years, and I didn't know what Japan is like. I couldn't really speak Japanese to people my age because I was only talking to my parents. It's different speaking to your parents and your friends. So it was like a double culture shock for me. So I had to adjust, and at that point I felt like, wow, uh, I did feel at home somewhat in New Jersey, but I always felt like an outsider. Coming back to Japan, they treat me like an American, so I don't feel at home. But the cool thing is, I know best and the worst parts of the both worlds. So it felt like that was an advantage for me working. Like if you can speak English in Japan, it's very rare, so you could get a better job. I didn't think I would go into the music industry, but it definitely shaped my career, my skills, I think, from a different perspective. Because back then, like when I went back, 98, there were so many like US copycat Japanese rappers. They would talk about guns and drugs, and I'm like, you don't have a gun? You don't do drugs? You're just a fake gangster. And I would never talk about those stuff because I didn't live a life like that. So I wanted to talk about life. I wanted to be a normal human being before like being on stage. So I think that's something that persona related to. Like what I talk about is not braggadocious stuff. I don't brag about like maybe some skills, but like I don't talk about hoes, bitches, drugs, cars, money, like the typical gangster hip hop gangster stuff. I want to talk about real life stuff, real struggle. So it's something that is true to me. It's a factual thing, and I think that's why I'm kind of unique. I don't pretend to be somebody else. I don't pretend to be cool. I don't wear like a $100,000 necklace, you know. Even if I could afford it, I don't think it looks good on me. It's just not my personality. So that is why I am who I am, and that's why I think the fans can relate to my songs. Yeah. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. What was the point in time where you kind of decided for yourself that you want to pursue music?
Oh, well, I started music when I was 18 or 19. Funny story, this dude, exchange student from Georgetown, he was organizing an event within our college. And he was like, I need some performance. I want you to rap. I was like, hell no. What are you talking about? Never performed, never even dreamed about it. But somehow he convinced me. And I had this dude, a friend of mine, who had 3 synthesizers in his dorm room. And he just made a beat. I was like, wow, that's so awesome. And we performed. It was a bad show. It was horrible. I'm so glad we didn't have smartphones back then. But that led to me performing in clubs. And I was just having fun. And I did that for like 3-4 years. And one R&B singer saw my staging. And he was like, I want you to feature our songs. 2 weeks later, we were performing in front of like 500 people. And he became my best friend. So we were touring Japan, and he taught me like how the industry works. So at that point, I was like, wow, maybe it's something that I could pursue. Yeah.
And how did the opportunity to collaborate with Shōji Meguro and Atlas sound team first come about?
It's so I met my friend. His name is Kichi, and one thing led to another. We were touring together with his group, and I got greedy. I was like, okay, I want to make my own single, and I produced it all by myself, and I sold 1,000 copies on internet back then. I was like, cool, okay. I made another single. I sold 1,000 copies on my own. I had to send it, you know, check the bank account and everything. It was hard work. Then I was like, maybe I want to make an album, you know, and I put in the work. It was hard. It was a learning experience. I sold it through this independent label, indies label, and it didn't sell at all. No promotion. They did nothing for me. But it reached Shōji Meguro. And my friend called me up. He's like, are you interested in doing gay music? I'm like, I was a cocky young MC back then. So I was like, well, I got to hear the beats first. And, you know, if the beat sucks, I'm not going to do it. And he sent me the track, and I was like, wow, this is gay music? So that's how it happened. It felt like destiny, and I'm glad I did it. Yeah.
What were some of the challenges and some highlights during that process?
I've met so many talented musicians, but I've met so like 80 to 90% of them, they drank their life away. They partied too much. They weren't dedicated. I knew I wasn't as good as them, so I must have wrote or practiced making beats like at least 3 hours a day, maybe like 8, you know, in some days. And when that opportunity came, I was ready. Funny thing, I was like, okay, so the song sounds great, so what should I write about? And they go, it's okay, the lyrics are already written. I'm like, that's kind of weird, but it's so cool. I go into the studio, it's broken English, written by a Japanese person. It doesn't make sense at all. And I'm like, okay, I could do this for you, but don't put my name on it, because this doesn't make sense. And Shōji was cool enough to say, can you change it up a little bit? I was like, okay, put it on loop, the places that I'm gonna rap on. I'm gonna fix it. And I fixed it in 30 minutes, and I recorded it in like 30 minutes. That's the original version of Mass Destruction. Yeah. So some of the words, you know, I was young. Some of the words, it doesn't make sense, but I tried in 30 minutes, and they liked it. So that was kind of challenging, but I'm glad I was prepared, because it comes from everyday work that I knew other musicians were partying. You know, they calling me up as like, yo, there's a model coming up. There's this cute girl on TV. She's here with me right now. Why don't you come? I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I need to write. I need to practice. I'm not good enough. So I think I was prepared for the opportunity when it came. Yeah.
And it paid off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'm glad I did that.
What are your biggest takeaway from this huge project that is Persona 3?
First, it wasn't big at all. So the story behind Persona 3 is that when Persona 2 came out, Atlas almost went bankrupt. Yeah. They didn't sell that much. All the producers for Persona 2, they weren't fired, but they were off the job. So the young producers, young composers, young illustrators, they took over Persona 3, and they got together in the meeting. They're like, you know what, man? This could be the last time our company can make a game. Why don't we make something that's interesting to us? Forget about like the industry standard. Let's just create something that we think it's fun. So let's try something new is basically the term there, the concept there. That's why Shōji Meguro included English rap. Like before that, like there were no English rap in JRPG games. And they believed in themselves, and it just made history after that. So, you know, after about like 2 years, I didn't even notice that it was a huge hit, right? So P4 came out after 2 years of P3 launch. And I think it was 2008. I don't remember correctly, but we had the Persona show. And it was my first time doing a show in front of like 1,000 people. And, you know, so the huge band, directors, producers, and so many people were involved. And I was just so excited to perform in front of so many people. That's when I noticed it was like a huge thing. And it just took off from there. So it's definitely a blessing. You know, I feel like I'm very lucky. So that's why I never slack off. Like, there are times when I'm just, you know, your life is catching up, private life. You don't want to write, you don't want to do anything. But when I get an offer from Atlas, I always give 120%. Yeah. So I'm glad I did. Yeah.
You mentioned you performed in front of many people. How did it feel like?
First time?
Yeah, first time.
Oh, it was funny because I felt like a cult leader. So we were doing Mass Destruction, right? That song, like baby, baby, da 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 da. So I'm looking at the crowd and they're, you know, vibing, you know, but I want to see their hands up. So I, you know, slowly put my hands up, and everybody had their hands up. At that moment, I was like, I'm a cult leader. So that was fun.
Side quest.
Yeah.
Beyond video games, you lent your voice to some incredibly iconic anime tracks like JoJo Bizarre Adventure, Soul Eater, Noragami, Black Butler, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Do these projects stem from your personal love for anime in game or anime music, or yeah? If so, do you like anime? Do you watch anime?
Oh yeah. You know, when I was little, I wasn't really into anime because, you know, Dragon Ball was huge, right? But the anime, it took like 15 minutes to just do Kamehameha. Like different angles, like all the angles you can think of. So I was like getting frustrated because I was a fan of the manga. But nowadays, it's so like, you know, it's fast and it's high quality. Huge fan of JoJo. I've been reading manga since I was like 5 years old. So when I got a call from Taki Iwasaki's manager, the composer, he's like, I want you to do a song, and it's for JoJo. I was like, what? I was outside, like near my house. People were looking at me, it's like, what is going on? But I couldn't hold myself. And I actually invited myself to do 2 songs because I was a fan. It's like, if you want me to do another song, I'll do it right now. And he was like, oh, okay. So I kind of, yeah. And it was actually my first time. So I've read JoJo so many times that I didn't have to read it back. When the beat came, I wrote it in 15 minutes. And I didn't fix anything. And that's the song called Overdrive, because I just knew it inside out. So that was cool. And yeah, it's always a fun project to do anime songs. It's mainly comes from Taki Iwasaki, the composer. And yeah, it's a great opportunity. It's always fun.
Do you or have you read manga in the States as well?
Yeah. There's this Japanese supermarket called Yaohan back then. It's a different name now. I forget what. But we would go. I would beg my parents to buy it. Yeah.
In Japanese?
In Japanese, yeah. I don't think there was like a localized version back then. Yeah.
Last question to wrap things up. What are you working on right now? And is there anything exciting that your fans can look forward to next?
There are a couple of things that I'm involved in. Actually, multiple. But I signed an NDA, so I can't say much. But the one game that I made a song for just came out. It's called Denshattack. And Shōji Meguro produced a song that I wrote. I didn't name the title, but it's called Set for Destruction. I was like, that's such a resemblance of mass destruction, but it sounds different, so it's cool. Yeah, but I'm excited to play that game. Yeah.
Any last words to your fans?
My fans, well, thank you for supporting me. I mean, it's still surreal to travel the world and perform in all these places. I just went to Poland, performing in Germany. I'm gonna be unannounced yet, but Spain, India, multiple places in the States. I'm sure there's gonna be many more to come. And it's not just Persona fans, but it's mostly Persona fans. And the beauty of Persona fans are that when I'm on stage, they have so much energy, they're enjoying themselves, and I see all the smiles in their faces, and that's rewarding for me. You know, as a musician, there's a lot of practice behind the curtain, and it's hard work. It's a lot of work. But when I'm on stage, when I see people enjoying themselves, listening to my music, it's just so rewarding, you know. I feed off that energy, so I want to say thank you. And thank you for their support. Yeah.